Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video it's going to be a very special video. In fact, it's going to be a start of a brand new series, which is basically going to be a podcast of sorts, talking about life as an autistic person. I'm going to be sharing, more detailed experiences about my life, my struggles with autism. Now, I have shown these struggles at specific points in different discussion videos that have to do with autism, and I still will be doing those type of videos, but they'll just be smaller compared to these podcast videos, which I don't know how long this podcast is gonna turn out, like maybe an hour, maybe a little bit more, I guess we'll see. I also probably won't be editing much, if anything, in this video, so I just want it to be authentic as possible, And in today's first episode, I'm going to be talking about overthinking, and how I do it constantly, every day, every time, for everything. Now, I haven't made a video talking about this, and I might still do, talking about smaller experiences, but just to have a general layout of overthinking, I thought it would be fun to do this for the first episode of this podcast. In this video, I'll talk about different experiences with overthinking, even one that I did today as of me recording this video, so that will be fun to get to. So let's begin, I guess. So yeah, overthinking with autism. It is a very common thing. I have talked about it before on the channel, not in a dedicated video, but many times in community posts. If you see my community posts, if you look at all of them, you would know I am basically a mess over there. I change ideas, I overthink like so many things. I worry about this and this, and I'll get more into details as the video goes on, but if you follow that, you know how horrible it is, and it's just always been a part of me. I guess I should talk about some of my experiences with overthinking. One of the experiences, or I guess a few that come into mind, is just the fact of when I was asking out girls, or attempting to, and I did a video about this as well, but I will be talking more about, my love life and how it sucks, but overthinking is a big part of that, because with these girls, I would basically think of so many complicated plans to ask them out. I remember in the 5th grade in elementary school, I had this quote-unquote friend. I say quote-unquote because they were kind of my enemy. They kind of bullied me too, but we kind of became a little bit cool. I don't know. But him and one of his other friends, I talked to them about a plan, how I was going to ask this girl, Isabel. That was her real name. Her last name was, I'm just kidding, I'm not gonna reveal it, but so I was gonna ask her out, but the plan was that I would write a note, I wrote a few notes actually to her, but this final note was actually the one that was like, will you go out with me? Will you be my girlfriend? I think I said both of those things, and then I would give it to them, and then I would ask to go to the bathroom, and then by the time I get back, I would take I think I took around 5 minutes or whatever in the bathroom, and by that time she would have gotten the letter, and yeah, I did think, that far ahead, but I didn't think even further ahead, this is a weird thing with me where I overthink things, and I try to see the future, possibilities, but sometimes my view is a little bit limited, and I did not think what would happen if she said yes or she said no or whatever. So I came back, and the guys told me that they did it, but Isabel was very, very awkward. We were friends before, me and Isabel, and again, I will be talking about this in another episode of this podcast, my love life, in farther detail than I already have on the channel, but we were friends. I eventually got feelings for her. Before her, I had a crush on basically the girl next door. Funny enough, Isabel was also a girl next door. But but yeah. Anyway, I didn't know that at the time, but yeah, I caught feelings for her, and again, I attempted multiple times to try to ask her out, and this was the one that. So what happened with the situation, by the way, is that it kind of worked, but not really. What do I mean by that? I mean, she was awkward about it, but apparently she said yes. She told the guys, she did not tell me, and she said that we were a couple, to the guys, but I literally did nothing about it. And I think I don't have this confirmed, but I'm pretty sure she only said that because she felt really, really bad for me. A pity, like, yeah, okay, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, except not really. So it was a very pity thing. But even if it was a pity thing, I didn't confront her about it. I did nothing with the kind of relationship we established, Again, this is a whole other podcast video that I want to do, but I technically had, like, I guess you could say, like, 2 girlfriends, technically, if you want to be technical. I am saying technical a lot, but not really, and, I will further explain that eventually. So yeah, but, like, we were technically, I guess, a couple, but I did nothing with it, and yeah, we just stopped speaking basically until the last day of school, where I thought up of another plan to ask her out, and if that didn't work, I thought even further ahead to. This was around the time when I found out that she actually lives nearby my house. So, oh my god, so I had a plan about giving her a note before the school ended. That didn't work. I tried doing something in summer, and that didn't work. With putting a note at her house, and then her mom wanted to meet me, and I was really scared, but it turns out she was a nice lady. I think she kind of forgot by the time I started, middle school, but yeah, it was scary, but yeah, I just overthought, so many things when I could have just, gone up to her and say, oh, I like you, do you want to go out with me? And it would have sucked if she said no, but at least I should have done that. But again, at this time, I had no idea I was autistic. I discovered I was autistic at 16. That's probably another podcast idea. In fact, I'm going to be writing some of this stuff down. I have actually a group of video ideas, and I'm going to be writing down some of the podcast ideas I have. But my diagnosis, but I got diagnosed at 16 with autism, so I had no idea what my deal was, for lack of a better word, why I was this person. I figured it had something to do. It had something to do with my dad's passing. He died when I was only 6 years old, and my mom, she doesn't like to admit it, but my dad died on my birthday, November 19th, 2010. That's when he died. As soon as I turned 6, and yeah, she doesn't want to admit it even nowadays, but I've seen the tombstone, and I remember I was wondering why didn't we celebrate my 6th birthday? And then I'm like, oh yeah. So anyway, I thought my autism, or the reason I was the way I was because of that and not because of autism, when really it was kind of both. Autism, is part of who I am, but I'm sure part of it is also because my dad passed away, and I lost a father figure, literally, a male role model. I had, uncles, but I'm really, socially awkward with, the rest of my family, even my grandma, which I love so much. And I hate that about myself, but again, that's another podcast idea. But we're getting too sidetracked. But yeah, so that's the overthinking with Isabel. The overthinking now got way worse with the next girl. I liked being Clarissa. Clarissa, I still have dreams about her. I've talked about her before. She was a Jehovah Witness girl who, because of their religion, they can't date, but she had feelings for me and I had feelings for her, but we couldn't do anything about it. But before I even found out she had feelings for me, or even before I knew she was a Jehovah Witness, I once again overthought everything. So I was still, paranoid over what happened with Isabel. This was in 7th grade when I met Clarissa, and I've actually been doing this for like, even in 5th grade, but it didn't work out well. But I really started to get invested in videos that talked about how to talk to girls, how to be more friendly, how to ask them out, not like those alpha male channels, like those weird dating advice channels about how you have to be a sigma male, or I don't know, I forgot the terms, but not those channels, but like actual good advice channels. I'm talking the Josh Speaks. The Josh Speaks was a really cool guy. I don't watch him anymore. I think he's still making videos, but I don't watch him anymore just because look at me, I'm doing YouTube and I'm not leaving my house. But when I was in school, I did watch a lot of his videos, and a lot of them actually did help me. But I was investing on everything he had, and then I did the same thing with Clarissa with a note. Except I did it a note plus a drawing, because she was a good drawer, just like me, and she Smash Bros, she liked Undertale, so I drew like the Smash Wii U like cover art, and then in the back I was like dumping all these feelings about her, and it was really awkward. And I thought for sure she was like, "Oh, I don't like you," and I think maybe at the time she didn't fully like me like that. But eventually we started hanging out still more, and she eventually did tell me, like, yeah, I like you, but I'm a Jehovah Witness. But again, it would have been so much more clear if I just said it, instead of thinking like, oh, I gotta do this letter and I gotta go exactly at this time. I did a similar thing when, even though we weren't dating, we were still kind of, if that makes sense. We were very close, me and Clarissa, for like quite a while. But in 8th grade, there was like basically a prom, but for middle school, and I thought it would be a great idea to ask her with a big sign. I thought of everything far ahead, even though I knew that she was thinking about not going because of the fact that her parents, her parents were very strict. But I went anyway, and I embarrassed myself in front of basically the whole school. The whole school was there, basically. I mean, it was the whole, like, 8th grade. But 1/3 of the school, so, oh my god, it was in the cafeteria. And this is the worst part. She said nothing. She didn't say yes, obviously, but she didn't say no. She just said nothing, and that really hurt me. We kind of reconciled after that, but there was still issues. We stopped interacting with each other in 9th grade, because I was overthinking about this guy that she was friends with. But eventually, she did end up liking him. But I know at the time of me, still hanging out with her, she didn't care about this guy. But oh my god, I overthought and was like, oh my god, he's stealing her away from me, even though we're not even together. So I confronted him about it. We didn't do a fight, but we kind of got in an argument. And yeah, it's my god. Now again, I will talk more in detail about these relationships the whole awkwardness with them probably in another video. But like, you know, a large part of the relationships, I guess, with you know, with the girls, is just the fact that, you know, I overthought a lot. The same thing applied to friendships. I mentioned this briefly with the guys, you know, that I helped me, quote unquote, helped me with Isabel and getting the note to her, where I overthought on how to be friends with them, by, you know, basically trying to change myself. And this went farther in middle school, where I basically, I still kept most, you know, my core personality, but I changed to be kind of a more social, not back talking, but I kind of became like my quote unquote friends, you know, becoming like them, so I could even get friends in the first place, you know. I only had a few people that I was actually true to myself with, being my best friend in middle school, Isaiah. We were basically the same. In fact, he was autistic too, and I could be honest with him. And then Clarissa, you know, but like I had to overthink, and I use those videos, you know, how to get a girlfriend or whatever from the Josh Speaks, but like he also had videos on how to make friends, and I did that, you know, and but like even then I took them too literally, and then I overthought things where, okay, I gotta change myself like completely, you know, and then eventually in high school it just kind of gave out, and I just started to be my true self with the few friends I had left, being Isaac, you know, who still follows me on the channel actually. His name is Scythe, you know, on YouTube. But what about overthinking in terms of other stuff? Well, don't worry, I have no shortage of those stories. So let me think. Also, I think I am going to be editing some parts out of this podcast. Specifically, I'm drinking a soda. I just finished it, and I just need a little bit of a break for like a second or two, because I'm talking, you know. So I am going to be editing out a little bit of this, but I still want it to be mostly pure, you know. But anyway, I guess we should talk about the most recent thing that's been happening. Um, so I guess this will kind of be like an update video as well, because, so for today and yesterday, I've been overthinking a lot in terms of social media stuff. I've been thinking a lot on, so a few days ago, for example, I added new Patreon and YouTube membership tiers, and I thought that I was ready. You know, I thought of a whole plan ahead, you know, that I'm going to have early access to these videos. I'm going to share the videos over on Patreon, you know, just to have a second platform to have myself saved, because I was still very paranoid about what happened with my first 1,000 subscriber special video, and how that got taken down for like hateful and dangerous content, and like what I figured was, okay, I could upload it to Patreon, so it would be easier just in case something happens to the video on YouTube. I could just re-download it more easier over on Patreon, and then like edit it and all that stuff. But that started to become a little bit too much for me. I overthought, you know, a solution, but I didn't overthink farther, if that makes sense. And like I've hinted at this before, but I overthink, but I kind of see myself as like, I only see like a certain part. I either only see the positives, or I only ever see the negatives. I don't see both outcomes, you know? I only ever see one or the other, so I base my decision making on what I overthink, you know, like this is all gonna be positive, this is all gonna work out, and then if something happens, I'm like, well, I'm giving up, or vice versa, you know, something negative happens, I'm not gonna do it, oh wait, but that actually could work out and that could be beneficial. So that's what I decided to do with the YouTube and Patreon tiers. But then yesterday, like in the middle of the night, so like actually a couple hours ago as of me recording this, I decided to get rid of them because they were starting to be overwhelming to me, and it sucks because like, I thought I was ready. I thought, I introduced the basic tier, the 99-cent tier. And I thought, if people want to support me further, they can with the other tiers, and I will offer them a little bit more bonus stuff. But it was just too much keeping up with the videos, having them early, because I like having videos 2 days in advance, Sometimes I fall behind a little bit, like with a big video, I have like a missing. So what I have sorts and videos coming out every day. So one sort at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and then one video at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And sometimes I have the next sort ready, but I don't have the next video. And that just started to get a little bit overwhelming, because I like to have, videos scheduled at least for a few days in advance in case something happens, something I need to take care of in life, Nothing has happened really yet, besides like 2 instances, both relating to when I was getting like my GED or whatever. But it's still good to have. And so keeping up those early access videos was rough. And then I decided to overthink more, and I was like, I want to promote my stuff further. So what I did was I created a whole bunch of new social media accounts. Before I would only use like Twitter, and I use TikTok, but like I just repost my sorts there. But that was basically it. I mean, I had other ones like a Discord server, subreddit, that is for the community. I also have a Twitch that I am currently not using, but I will get to that in a moment. But anyway, I decided to add more social media stuff to further promote my stuff, on YouTube. And I think I am going to stick with this. I think it is a good idea, I can see myself maybe getting a little bit overwhelmed, but I think I started to get a little overwhelmed when I did create all those social media. But that's because I still had the early access videos still on Patreon and YouTube. What I like is that, I could schedule my like sorts. I'm going to be re-uploading my sorts also on like Facebook, on Instagram, and they have like reels or whatever, and I could just schedule them just like YouTube, so I don't need to worry about that, like this is a thing where I wish TikTok had a scheduling feature, how I have to, so I go to sleep at random times, my sleep schedule is messed up. I get a good like 8 hours of sleep, most of the time more, like 9 or 10 hours. But like, I go to sleep at random points, I wake up at random points. But like, I do wake up like once or twice to go to the bathroom, and when I do go to the bathroom, I have to make sure I upload the TikTok, on there, because there's no scheduling feature. I know there's like scheduling features on like a website or something, but I don't want to do that. So I have to do that. But at least with these other social media, I just have to schedule it, and then I'm done. That's it. And the Patreon stuff was getting in the way of that. Again, I overthought. Oh, I overthought the positives, but I didn't think about the negatives. So yeah, but I'm still not done with the social media thing, because I was looking into multi-streaming. Like I mentioned before, I have a Twitch. Also, you could stream on Facebook, and I was looking into that. I was overthinking, like, I could stream in all these places, but this is finally where, sometimes I do see both the positive and negative of when I'm overthinking, like at the same time. Most of the time I see like, only the positive or only the negative in a certain situation that I overthink. But this time I actually did think of both, and I realized, like, yeah, I could see there's a lot of hassle with multi-streaming. You have to use, different websites, and then, like, it will be complicated for viewers, because sometimes if, people are talking on TikTok or Twitch, YouTube people will be confused, like who you're talking to, and vice versa, for the other way around. Uh, but I did see there was a good value for it, because you could reach more people. But at the same time, I realized that, yeah, the hardships were a little bit too much for me, and I don't want to deal with that. I want to be doing this for fun, and I do want to promote my stuff more and do more things on other social media stuff, but I don't want to do that in risk of burning myself out, or stretching myself too thin or all that stuff. So yeah, I decided against that, and instead I have decided I think I am going to be streaming on Twitch, but I am going to be archiving the streams over on the YouTube channel. I have messed around with settings to make sure that, yes, the Twitch streams will be saved for at least a few days, and then after a few days they will disappear. But you can also do a setting where you can export the stream directly to YouTube. Like, you don't have to download the stream. Because I know some people stream, like, really long time on Twitch. I'm probably not going to do that. But, just in case, it's just good to not have to download, like, an hour or 2 hour video or stream and then, upload it here on YouTube. You could just export it. Of course, there's options to make it private, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Test out streaming on Twitch, see how I like it. Probably do it every so often, and for casual games. Like, I've been thinking about doing, on YouTube, like, themed days, Mario Kart Mondays, Tetris Tuesdays, whatever Wednesdays, I don't know. But I don't know. I don't think I should do that for my normal YouTube stuff. But I can totally see myself doing that for Twitch. Like, of course, I could stream, multiple times a day. I have done that before on YouTube. But I'm sure I will probably only stream on Twitch if I have extra free time, or if I'm not streaming before in that day. But if I do, I could do, like, I don't know, I could play Splatoon for a Monday stream, for challenge, I don't know. And then I could also stream later on Twitch for Mario Kart Mondays, or just casual games where, like, I thought about this too, where I could do, like, a variety amount of games on Twitch. I don't really like doing that on YouTube. I like having one themed thing on YouTube, where I'm playing one specific game, unless it's for a special event. Something like the gaming session streams would still have to follow a theme, they still have to follow, like, all Zelda games, all Kirby games. Or, like the 100, 200, 300 subscriber specials, where I just play a bunch of multiplayer games with you guys to celebrate. Also, I've done some few where I play multiple games, but, like, that was when I got, like, a PS5 and Xbox, but I don't really do it that often, and I think it would be a good way to do it on Twitch, but also still save it on YouTube in case you guys want to, to see it. And that's one of the better things. That's one of the few good things, actually, that I've done recently, if at all, like, ever, with Overthinking. I actually overthought, but, like, I saw both the positive and negatives. This still connects with what I did before with looking at multi-streaming. I saw the negatives. I also did see the positives. And even though I decided against it, I still kind of want to do both. And just to make it simpler on me, I'm going to be doing separate streams, and just re-uploading them on YouTube. So yeah, that's one of the few times I think in my life, or at least recently, again, that I have decided, okay, I see both outcomes, and I'm going to work my way towards that, and be a little bit more calm. And I'm proud of myself for that, because it is very rare for me to kind of be proud of myself, especially with the overthinking thing. Oh my god. But that was just more recently, I guess I should go over some quick overthinking experiences. If you see my YouTube streams, you would know this where I overthink if I read dialogue correctly. So what do I mean by this? So something like Persona, for example. I have to really make sure I understand the dialogue. I didn't misinterpret anything. So I look through the log to see what the characters say, just to make sure I'm not crazy and I didn't miss anything. I also do this in like off YouTube. I talk about on my streams how I've been watching this show called Criminal Minds. Great show, I love it a lot. But there's a lot of times where I have to rewind the episode I'm watching just to make sure I heard something right, and I have to do it multiple times because I'm like, did I hear that right? Sometimes it's a little bit hard to hear because they say it too fast, the characters or something. But sometimes, I just want to make sure. But I do this constantly, and yeah, I'm not proud of that either. The same thing goes for when you save in a game. I have to really make sure the game saves. I know some other people do this. There's even memes about it. How, oh, I'm gonna save again just to be sure, but this is more than just that. It's with everything, with making sure I'm seeing the subtitles correctly, and I like having subtitles on just to, an extra, net to see like, oh, okay, I did hear what I did, and I'm also seeing what I'm seeing. But sometimes, I still have to make sure by going into stream and like, oh, okay, let me rewind a little bit. Okay, that's what they said. So you see that a lot in my streams, how I have to make sure if something is correct, and then I'm like, oh, is it really? And then we just double check and then triple check and then, yeah. Now, I mentioned TV shows like Criminal Minds, how I have to rewind sometimes. Of course, overthinking, you might think of TV shows like, where you're over theorizing something, and I have definitely done that before. Though now I do it to a lesser degree. I still sometimes do it. But I know when I was younger, I was a big fan of Steven Universe. I think that show is great, by the way, and people hate on it far too much. But anyway, there's been a lot of theories on it when it was airing the show, and I remember trying to piece together stuff myself, watching multiple videos and being like, I kind of agree with this guy, but I think he's a little bit wrong because of this character does this. I don't know. And this led to other shows too where I overthought things too, but that's kind of one of the perks, I guess, of overthinking. You could more experience these shows. Sometimes it could be a detriment, like with older shows. I actually watch a few older shows just because my mom watched them and I watched them with her. Something like Golden Girls. I love Golden Girls. It's a funny show. But there's a lot of continuity errors, but even now, I still try to make peace with them by overthinking, so for example, Rose, one of the main characters in Golden Girls, has a boyfriend, Miles, and he was a boyfriend for her for quite a bit, and then it was revealed he's actually part of the witness protection program, and that's not his real name. But what's weird is that he appeared, the actor that played Miles appeared in a season 1 episode as a completely different character. So I tried to make sense, oh, maybe he was part of the witness protection, although you could say Rose would have remembered, but Rose is kind of stupid. So I'm like, oh, maybe she just didn't remember him, and I don't think the rest of the girls even saw. I don't think they saw. I think his name was Arnie in the season 1 episode of Golden Girls. I don't remember, but I don't think the other girls, her roommates, saw him with her. Before Miles was also revealed as part of witness protection, he introduced her daughter to Rose or whatever, and she didn't like Rose. But it's weird because about family, how they're like that with witness protection, you're not allowed to see them. So I tried to think maybe it was like actually not his daughter, but like an agent trying to protect Rose from getting too close from this witness protection person. So I would try to reconcile all that stuff for future episodes to like make sense. I still kind of think that, even though it is really just, it's not that important, the show is meant to be a comedy with some serious episodes here and there, which actually are really good, but the continuity is not the biggest strong suit of the Golden Girls, especially because it was made in like the 80s or whatever, which is fine, but I still try to fix it all together. Now, this might be the last thing I discuss. I don't know, maybe I'll think of other things, but I do want to touch on actually a little bit of more serious thing with overthinking, and that being paranoid over different ways you could die. Yes. So this video might be like age restricted. I hope not, but I'll try to be a little bit censor proof, I guess. But I mentioned how my dad passed away, and I was overthinking a lot when I was, only 6 years old and eventually a little bit older, with worrying about the rest of my family, specifically my mom, Even now, I still worry a little bit about my grandma. But I remember, overthinking, worrying about my mom, worried that something would happen to her, like where she would go to sleep and not wake up, or she would like drive somewhere, like while I'm in school, and then like not come back because something happened. I would overthink that a lot, and even now, that's still kind of the case, but like with my grandma. And sometimes even the rest of my family still, like my mom or even my brother, which it feels especially bad for him because he's really young, my brother. I mean, he's, 13? I still can't believe it. He seems like a baby still, but at least to me. But anyway, I love him, and I hate that sometimes I overthink, like, oh, what if something could happen, Obviously, not like a sinister thing. I hope I'm making that clear. Not like, oh, how they could die. No, I mean, like, the ways that accidents could happen, and like really dangerous accidents, and I worry like what happens to me, what do I do if but I have to realize that it's not real. It is not, nothing is guaranteed to happen. Some people believe in destiny and all that stuff. I do to some extent, but anyway, you don't know the future, what it holds. So you should just live in the moment, be happy, and, appreciate the family you have here, and, spend time with them and all that stuff. But still, sometimes the thoughts pop up like, oh, what if something happens to my grandma and I didn't say goodbye or something? But I just gotta be calm and live every day with purpose, with love, and like, I don't know. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things that really sucks about overthinking, is that worrying about people you love dying or leaving you or whatever. This same thing goes to relationships with the girls that I mentioned before, but like leaving you, like that they actually leave you, which I still am thinking about when Clarissa has stopped talking to me. How, like, I still have dreams about her, and I still wish I could do something to fix my mistake. It was partly her mistake too. I'm gonna blame partly her. It was also partly that guy, but I know part of it was obviously me. It was like a whole 1/3 of it was my fault. So I wish I could have made like an amends, but yeah. But yeah, guys, I think that's gonna be it for my video, and also this first episode of this podcast, again called Life as an Autistic Person. And I think this turned out to be a pretty good video. I feel like I covered most bases in terms of overthinking. Of course there was some other things, like, as I could have mentioned lightly, like overthinking in terms of tests. I remember doing that where I made sure, like, oh, is this the right answer? Oh, let me erase it. Oh, but this one might be the right answer, so let me check that in. Oh wait, but the one I just erased before might be it. I've done that before many times, even when I was getting my GED, where I worried about if I got it right. But there's smaller cases, and I I think I covered most of the big ones, you know. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for me, guys. Let me know what you think of this podcast. If there's anything I can do to make it better. There is no background music besides, you know, the intro and outro that I have set in for like the last few seconds or the beginning seconds of the video. And that's because I don't know. I know some people watch podcasts and videos in general, like they fast forward ahead. Heck, I even do that. So the music might be distorted, even though it is like, you know, it will be very minimal. But I don't know. Maybe I'll add background music. Maybe I won't. Though I just wanted to test this out. But let me know what you think. Thank you, Dillis Edub, Davey Grace, Sparkly Brawler, and Scythe for becoming YouTube or Patreon members. Like, subscribe, play some Xenoblade, and I'll catch you guys next time for more. Peace, bye everyone.